evening, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to the virtual layout of the Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. Tonight, coming to you for round number 6 of Speedcafe eSeries. We've gone beyond the halfway point and time to start setting our sights on the championship finale. Scott Rankin behind the booth, behind the microphone yet again alongside Peter Davis. And Pete, it's last week's race from 2 weeks ago in Imola was not without its upsets, not without its moments, not without its drama. And the big one that we were all talking about again was tyres, tyre wear, ability to look after tyres. And then we go from Imola to Catalonia. If you're worried about tyres, this is one place you want to put those gremlins in your rear view.
Well, good evening, everybody. Hi, Scott. Put the gremlins in your rear view, put your jumpers away. It's nice and warmer over in Spain. We're at Catalonia. Last 2 weeks ago at Imola certainly was exciting. It tried out after the deluge they've been having there for the last couple of weeks. We saw tyres were certainly something to talk about at the end of the race. They were certainly something to talk about at the start of the race. We saw qualifying shenanigans going on with people putting themselves in position, warming their tyres. We saw laps being set on lap 3 and 4. It was very exciting.
Yeah, pretty much bang on at this point for the Speedcafe E-Series. Tonight, heading in, I tell you what, Matt Dench has got to feel comfortable at the top of the order. He's really stepped clear. We managed to get touch base actually with Damon Woods after the last round. He wanted to pass on his commiserations for not being able to make that race. Was actually attending state championships in Formula Ford in Victoria, so he was a little bit preoccupied with real world race car duties. Not so tonight. He will be taking to the field, and of course don't forget that there has been that redo on the Porsche 992 GT3 Cup car. Sorry, not GT3 Cup car, my apologies, GT3R. Moving over from the 991 spec, and then an update. I was actually talking to a few people about real-world motorsports earlier on in the year that there was some dramas with that spec of car earlier on when it initially launched. Now it's made its way through here to iRacing, a new generation, a new breed. Porsche's always been one of the cornerstones of GT3 class racing and cornerstones of motorsport right around the world. Multiple disciplines, multiple categories, multiple formulas. They're always rising to the top, Pete.
It does, and we've come to a crossover in the Speedcafe E-Series where you had the option to change cars if you want to, and we've seen a few drivers turn up in the new Porsche. We've had a little bit of a reconfig, I believe, and we're not quite sure what's going to happen with these new cars as we see the first round of qualifiers coming out. So we've got the first bunch of cars are out on track. But yeah, no, good to see Porsche. Definitely a stable of the GT3 series, much like we've got the BMW at the moment of Shane Ewan's out in front. Obviously just on an outlap, and he's now to see himself Andrew Deshot out there, Daniel Velicott, Marlon McMullen, we've got Jackson Austin, the People's Champion, Jamie McKnight's out there looking to set a lap. It's good to see Jamie back. We've got Robbie Bradbury. Sorry, mate.
I was just going to say, popular driver Jamie McKnight, really big. He puts a lot of work into the simulator.
Does
racing well.
Does a lot of supercar driving. Haven't seen him in the GT3 a lot. He has been here the last few rounds. So good to see him out there, and he's a great driver. And certainly when he commits, but he spreads himself pretty wide in sim racing. And yeah, put a little bit more time in this, and he'd certainly be up at the pointy end.
Yep, and as we start to get underway, of course, tyres are going to still be coming up to temperature. Potentially on that second lap, don't forget, keep an eye on Amar Sharma's vast motorsports machine as well. Another driver that takes in real-world motorsport duties from time to time. There was, did you see?
Production cars the other week at, sorry, keep going. No, he was at the Paperclip at Queensland Raceway.
Oh, okay, yeah, because I was also seeing, might have been flashbacks around at Phillip Island a couple of weeks ago. He said, yeah, look, if there was grass somewhere around the circuit, I tended to run off and test how good it was during that weekend. So things did not go well for the round at Phillip Island. I didn't hear anything about Queensland Raceway. Do you have any updates on how that went for everyone?
No, I do not. I'm sorry. I was looking at a couple of other people I saw at the other end of the field, and I didn't get to watch a lot of it. But who have we got here? Oh, we've got Andrew Dishot is out.
Not
Doesn't look like he hit the wall. Sorry, he's off the track.
Yeah, just parked in an awkward position. We're going to replay here to tell us what's going on. Pretty much, I'm expecting cold tire gremlins for the Mercedes, and that indeed looks like cold tire
coming out
gremlins.
of Worth? It does. It does.
Oh, look at that! Look at that. He's pulled it up nicely.
Beautiful.
Talent. Planned. Well, not planned, but if you're going to crash and get close to a barrier, that's about as close as you want to get.
Well, old school European circuit, we've got a bit of runoff area. Got a little bit of matting on the outside, which the GT3 drivers are certainly going to use. We've got the re-profiled last two turns that Robbie Bradbury's now coming down and exiting the final turn onto the start-finish straight, which has changed this year again.
We'll see, over the last couple of years with the use of this circuit in Formula One, one of the big things was that middle corner, there's multiple different layouts. That was the Formula One and generic touring car sort of layout with the tight chicane. The MotoGP didn't use that chicane, so now we've moved back to using the MotoGP chicane. And then there's the last couple of corners. So it just shows you, not only do tracks develop throughout time, they make use of their space, but it's all to do with the changing of the cars, changing of the guard, the way that downforce works, the way that the cars race each other.
And Asafun had put in the fastest lap on a 142, and he's going to go and try and better it, and he's off. A little bit of gravel on his tyres, he'll be able to get back and still have time to put another lap in. Marlon McMullen is in P2. He's only 2/10 behind him. We've got Jamie McKnight in P3 currently, with Robbie Bradbury in 4. Jackson Austin's in 5. Amar Shamar's put it into 6th position, with Shane Newens in 7, and Andrew Dishot is in, well, he hasn't really put a fast lap in, but he's certainly got a lap down in currently in 8th.
And just having a quick look up and down through compared to their practice times as well, Peter, Atsushi Osafune has managed to go half a second quicker than his practice time. So that says to me, perhaps the time he set in practice was on a full fuel run this year on the limited qualifying fuel to get his way through. Is that Amar Sharma coming through a cloud of smoke backwards?
Yes. Oh, there's drift, nice drift there.
Anyway, so the drivers are going to set themselves up now, and I can tell you that they're all either on the start-finish straight or in the final sector. 6th place at this point in time, I think was, 7th, which was Amar Sharma, was the furthest back, just going through the hairpin at this point in time. Other than that, most of the cars are on the run into turn number 1. And Jamie McKnight is in the pit lane. So he's down here for a quick set of fresh rubber. See what he can get done with that one and post it back out. Remember, it's Sushi Osafune in the gravel in the first sector on the previous lap. So this will be his second flying lap on the tyres. Really curious to see what the fall off is and whether or not drivers can actually get pace here on that second and third lap, because the biggest issue they run into, Pete, is tyre temperature. Overheating the tyres is such a big issue here in Spain.
Oh, such big, long, continual flowing corners that put just a lot of load on that left-hand side, especially that left-hand front tyre, because you're just turning for so long. We're not quite sure what we're going to see when cars are following each other, what the degradation's going to be. So over the previous couple of races we've had in the Speedcafe eSeries, we've seen people change tyres at one event. I think that was Phillip Island. We had tyre changes. Maybe we'll see that again tonight.
Well, for the drivers that didn't change tyres, could even just be left side tyres. I actually think might be on the cards, because obviously a lot of right-hand turns and all the heavy loaded corners are all right-hand turns. Turn 3, turn 4, turn 9 onto the back straight, 11, 12, and 13, all quite long and loaded, all right-handers. So left-hand side tyres might be the go. Another driver coming in for a fresh batch of rubber in the dying stages of qualifying. And Andrew Dishot struggling on his first couple laps, just barely keeping out of the barriers. Velicott will improve currently. Keep your eyes on Jamie Knight as well as he comes around to start another lap. I can tell you he's in the middle of the lap currently, so he'll be coming down to the tail end. The goal will be to get the tyres up to temperature in time, not cook them, give himself one flying crack. Alternatively, he's quite well known, Jamie McKnight. He doesn't mind starting deep in the field and driving his way through. Quite enjoys the good old last to first challenge, Pete.
He does like a last to first challenge. Look, very, very competent driver, can get a result from any starting position depending what happens, and Look, we've got a long straight here to start this race with a tight chicane into Elf. 1, 2, 3, I guess we'll call it tonight. So anything can happen there. We need a little bit of a lucky break if you're starting back down the field. Also, conditions are a little different tonight. The track conditions currently 27 degrees, and it's actually cooling a little bit. So we're not sure what we're going to see for the next group of qualifiers to how the track, I guess, progresses. And just we're on board with Jamie now as he's starting his flying lap.
It's always important to note as well, ladies and gentlemen, how critical that sky and the conditions are towards what the track temperatures are going to be, what the evolution's a little bit like. A little bit cloudier track. It's
Oh, Jamie's put a wheel off.
That was one tyre in the grass on the right-hand side. I don't know how tight he is on time. I think we're running out of time here. He may just have to settle for the lap that he's already got. It's good enough for 5th in this session, but I believe it's only just about halfway through our slowest of the qualifying. Another one, 1 minute warning in the air. So he has got to get back to that start-finish line to get himself a chance at a lap. He's going to be tight. I don't know if he can make this.
Oh, he may not have made it. He may have made it, but it looks like he won't now. It's a minute to go. If he does get around, he will get the opportunity to finish his flying lap if he starts one. Robbie Bradbury currently in 6th. Robbie with a 142.85. The fastest guys in pre-quali were around the 140s, high 140s, so we've still got a little bit of work to do.
Yeah, Jay McMullen's just gone at the top of the time sheets with a 141.613, which is starting to get to where we sort of expected these guys. Atsushi Osafune is still settling there in P2 with a 42.250 as well. So time's not coming on as thick and as fast as we necessarily believed. And Jamie McKnight is done. Will not set another lap. So he is doing the last of first challenge at the moment. Now it's going to come down to... Now it's going to come down to the drivers ahead of him. Can give you an update as well, ladies and gentlemen. The checkered flag has now been flown for the first section of qualifying, which means this is the final lap. So we've got Shane Nguyen's looking to improve currently on his lap. I can tell you, Atsushi Osafune off in that second sector and not going to improve upon his lap time, his qualifying session done. Has Nguyen's got anything for us late on in the piece? Drivers coming out of the last corner at the moment, so it'll be Nguyen's to come around and chalk it up, followed by Daniel Velicott and Andrew Dishot. And I believe Marlon McMullen might be done. He's slow in that second last corner, so he could be running out of time. May not be many improvements. Dishot's done. Robbie Bradbury, what has he got for us as well? But up and down the field, still managing to hit a reasonable number of drivers each and every week here, Peter. It's been the chaos here with the Speedcafe eSeries. We've been on a lot of quite tight tracks. This to me is the real first time we've had a wide open track with a lot of runoff area and whatnot.
And this is a wide track. Just watching these cars get around here, there's room for 4 wide. Which we'll probably have at the start of the race down the start-finish straight.
If I know a race car driver, well, they will absolutely be putting it 4 to 5 wide on the run down of 10, and 1 can actually accept it's quite good runoff area on the exit of 1 as well.
Jackson Austin's just moved himself up into P2 with a 142 flat. Atsushi was here for some of the earlier races. We haven't seen him I know he wasn't here last round, might not have been here maybe just last round. But again, we've talked about the E-Series and I guess the availability to bring people from all over the world. He's Japanese, so he's one of the international drivers, so it's good to see him back. Just listening to race control, I can see the other drivers are just getting ready as we have our final drivers now, just bringing it back into the pits to finish off the first of the 3 qualifying sessions we got for this evening. But yeah, this track's been around about 30 years, I guess. In the early 90s it was built. We've just had the Formula 1 here, which was quite exciting. A lot of the teams and a lot of the drivers, because of the weather and because of the locality, people seem to spend a lot of time here in the off-season. So a lot of people seem to know this track. It's quite popular.
As well, don't forget the testing days that are run here as well, media days, you name it. Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia fan has had a little bit of an unloved GP status within the Formula One realm over the last couple of years, but certainly this year's race, unique, new, and well, it's the closest thing that I've seen at this circuit in a very long time to the circuit that we're actually going to be using tonight with that quite open final sector as well. Pete, what were your thoughts on the GP race here?
It was good. I enjoyed it. It was one of the first races we've had all year where Fernando wasn't doing very well, and I seem to have jumped on the Fernando Alonso bandwagon this year. I like to see him doing well. We saw the Mercedes both finish on the grid, which is something we also haven't seen. Qualifying was interesting when we saw them both make contact with each other going down the start-finish straight, which I found was interesting. And just as we talk about other series that will be running here, in next year in 24, the 37th America's Cup's going to be held in Barcelona.
Oh, there you go. I was just going to say, heart goes out to Lando. What was... he could have been more aggressive on lap 1.
Oh, I'm not allowed to talk about it. I'll say something about Lewis and people start sending me hate mail.
Oh no. Well, look, if you're a Lewis fan, if you're not a Lewis fan, if you're a car racing fan, if you're not a car racing fan, welcome in yet again, ladies and gentlemen. Hello and welcome to round number 6 of the E-Series. Do you want to go over points here whilst we've got this warm-up lap?
Certainly. The group has just started, the second group for qualifying tonight. Yeah, would you like me to...
Go nuts. This
run
one's
through the
your
points?
baby point.
Yeah, okay. Well, currently we've got Matty Dench. He's leading the points on 226. Lachlan Cable has snuck into second position now at 177 points, and Damon Woods, who missed out last weekend, who was leading, is on 147. So he's got his work cut out for him, but we've seen he's a very competitive and fast driver. So if he can just hold it together tonight and get a really good result, he's going to put himself back up to the pointy end. Luke Mitchinson, he's currently in 4th position with Rob Carmichael, who's had a win back at Sandown in P5. Christopher Island, I don't think's here tonight. He sent his commiserations. He had something on. He was in P6 with 110 points. Dylan O'Shea had a little bit of bad luck in a couple of previous races, but did very well last week with the second in P7. Sebastian Flock is in P8 on 100 points. And we've got Marlon McMullen, who is in 9 on 95, with Zachary Rattray White chasing him very close on 9. Well, the next one, 92 points for him. Rob Bowden, 89. Ross Rizzo, 88. Simon Mizomo, 88. Adam Wilson, 83. And 15th for Aaron Cooper.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, I was following along Zach Rattray White with a lot of interest last week. Big jump for him in particular. Finished, I was just having a quick look at the results. I think he finished, 6th last week after starting 13th. So halved his starting position. 7 spots made up at Imola. First and foremost, big props to that. That's just a lot of positions moved, but jumped into the top 10 overall in points. No pre-qualifying required from Zach Rattray White. I think he is one to watch at the back end of the top 10. He's got a lot of threat, and based upon his times here in the session today, Zach is actually going to move a little bit further forwards because he's in our fast 15, so he will be in the next qualifying group to come out. In the meantime, ladies and gents, laps are starting to come in. This is the Speedcafe E-Series. This is the second round of qualifying, proudly brought to you all the sponsors you're seeing in the top right-hand corner of the screen, including Super Cheap Auto. Cannot say enough thanks to Super Cheap Auto being offering vouchers as well to
great prices.
Yeah, Lachlan Cable said, look, I'm going to buy Dad some more tools with that voucher. Goes straight onto him, so it's good to see that. Oh, Chris Pellet finds a sausage curb and finds a barrier.
Juiced it up a bit much and lost the rear end by the looks of things.
That was just too easy, Pete.
Sorry. What we did see, just on it quickly while everyone's just getting their some temperature into their tyres, we saw a couple of drivers with the undercut last race at Imola. Then we saw, and just speaking of them, there was one of their teammates there. And then we saw another couple of cars pit, and then the lap after them, and then they started tripping over each other. So we had the first 3 or 4 pitters trip over each other, which then we had the overcutters, we should say, had a big win, put them into a very strong position to finish the race. And that was Matthew Dench was one of those, and also Dylan O'Shea.
There was another of the drivers there. Just keeping half an eye on Stephen Bartholomew. That is the new Porsche with adjusted flarings, particularly out and around the wheels. That's really where you can see the big difference. The front splitter as well, and those rear lights are the 3 main differences. Simon Mazzomo the first driver to really take what you need to get out of a single lap here from that new Porsche 992 GT3R for 9.5 Sim Sports. What a lap sends him to the top of the timing sheets. Half a second quicker than any of his nearest rivals. He stands alone at the top end of town at the moment. And it's going to be difficult to overhaul that one. That's a reasonable lap. We've seen a couple of 1 minute 40s already here tonight in terms of the practice sessions, Pete. So 1 minute 41.1. How long do you think that lasts?
It's a great looking car.
Is the engine note on it's different as well, which is the key thing for me.
Yep. Well, we're in our second session of qualifying. We've seen drivers straight out. We've seen Seth Brown has popped himself into third. Rob Carmichael's up into fourth. Chris Barnes with a 141.9, so just in the 141s. In fifth. Sixth was Jackson. Steve Bartholomew, who you mentioned, is a privateer. He's put himself into 7, and Rob Bowden's up into P9. So quite quickly, we've got a few of the guys in this session. Riley Bilson there hasn't put a lap in. I can see he's there. And also, just Mr. Mitchinson, Luke Mitchinson. He's not a bad qualifier. So there's a little bit more to see out of those two guys yet. It's only early.
Yeah, change of cars as well. So we've hit the halfway point in the season. Now, the difference for those of you watching along at home in terms of real life versus simulation, well, first and foremost, you're not locked into a manufacturer. You obviously don't have to buy an entire car, so therefore you don't have to stick with an entire car. Big benefit. Well, what that means is that simulator drivers tend to jump around quite a lot. The series here, at the start end of the things, was looking at locking drivers into the cars that they were already situated in. Unfortunately, this week, with the release of a new car to the GT3 world in terms of iRacing, the correct thing to do is open all of that up to the drivers to say, hey, look, if you're thinking about a car choice, if you're thinking about a change, we want to make sure that you're all comfortable with the car that you're in anytime that a balance change comes, because that's not something that really happens in terms of real world motorsport. Cars don't just change dramatically overnight, another different part.
Supercars. Sorry, excuse me.
Okay, that's a bit different. Not halfway through a season, they're not just going to go out and go, okay, we've got the Chevy Camaro over here. How about we go back to last season's cars for the remaining 6 rounds? And
Scott, I've just got to say one thing. You asked how long Simon Mazzomo was going to stay up there in P1 with his 141.1. Luke Mitchinson's come in and beat him by 2/10 with a 141.13. So it took about that long. But you're right. But after this now, you are locked into this car that you've chosen for the rest of the series.
Yep, no ifs, no buts, no coconuts, no arguing, no barging. No, that's it. You are in the car. Whatever you signed up for tonight's round, or if you weren't available for tonight's round, whatever you sign up for the next round that you join, that is it. That's your car that you're locked into for the remainder of the season. Rob Bowden's done his lap. He's coming in for fresh rubber, Pete.
Some tyres, yeah. Rob Bowden's put himself into P4, and he's one who stayed with the Ferrari, so he stayed with the car he's been running all series.
Yeah, there's a couple drivers in those Ferraris up and down the field, seeing those regular liveries. Sebastian Vandel jumps from 12th on the timing sheets up to 6th place. So it's
stayed in his Lamborghini.
And
there's not a lot of Lambos. He stayed in there, sorry.
No, he was in the Ferrari.
Oh, was he?
He was in the Ferrari. See, now
stand corrected. Yeah, forgive me. Sorry,
I'm sure as anything he was in the Ferrari. Look, my memory can be wrong sometimes.
No. Let's. As we're watching him now, he's climbed himself up into P6. He's got Rob Carmichael, who just put himself into P5. Following it, as we see the rear ends around for Sebastian, and he's off into the kitty litter.
Well, that's my big question for tonight: is how well is the Lamborghini going to hang on to its rear tyres? So we'll see how that goes. The car is stuck in. So Rizzo is still in the Lamborghini as well, which we'll see in a little bit. And the replay in the bottom right-hand corner, I believe, is going to tell the story here for exactly how that unfolded. I'm assuming it's just a rear-end overload.
As you mentioned, he's put a wheel on the mat. One thing we mentioned about qualifying, we're seeing a few little mistakes tonight. We've seen usually everyone's quite tight in quali. Only been little ones, and everyone's been able to continue on, but we've certainly seen a little.
Yeah, I'm interested to see how Chris Pellet's done this. I actually was commentating him once, and he had a huge moment going out of the turn number 1 in an Audi at Phillip Island, and we had a great discussion afterwards. Showed me that there was just a at one point in time, his simulator just picked up that there was a huge spike on the torque on his wheel, just spat him sideways. But it was really, really good to sit down and break down the discussion, because he was sitting there going, I've no idea what happened. I've no idea why this happened. We went over the data and, yep, there's a spike in the torque on the wheel. We don't know to this day whether it was a wheel-related issue or whether it was just a random spike. It's just one of those things where software just doesn't talk to each other at the most inopportune moment, whether there was a bump that he hit.
Or Simon Mazzomo's back with a 140.7.
So even Mez isn't happy with the qualifying lap. He was on the top of the world, got taken away from him, and now how will Luke Mitchinson respond? Is it just me, or is that crowd cover come over too a little bit here?
Well, yeah, no, I'd agree with that, and that's 4/10 up. That's a flying lap. They're the sort of lap times you need to be setting at the moment, because that's what the fast 15, I reckon, will all be in the 140s. Will we see a 39? Possibly.
Well, it's going to be tight. It's going to be a huge ask to get to the 39s around Circuit de Barcelona, Catalonia. 1 minute warning in the air. So pretty much, if you're not about to cross the start-finish line, you better be on a lap. Checkered flag has been called. So, right, I picked that one up a little bit late. This is the final lap for a number of drivers. And there are a number that are already done, including Stephen Bartholomew. This will be his final 2 turns. This is it. This is all he's got available to him. What's he got on the run to the flag for us? Will it be better than 10th spot on the starting grid with 15 qualifiers left to come? A 42.405, which I believe was actually an improvement on his previous lap.
Well, what have we got here? Seth Brown.
That was an improvement, I thought. No, it was a 42.405. Sorry, it wasn't 41. And Seth Brown practicing his parallel parking.
At pit entry, did we have did he lose the rear end at pit entry? He's just bringing it back in. Well done.
I was about to say there was some carbon fiber there on pit lane entry, so it would certainly look like he's had contact. Indeed he has.
Oh, is that a big one? Oh, right at the end of qualifying, the technicians are going to have to get hard to work on that car.
Unfortunate for the Pursuit Sim Racing driver. Seth will back his way down pit lane. At least he didn't obstruct anyone. Like, if that's happened... Is that Sebastian Varndell? It was. So it looks, ladies and gentlemen, that if you're looking for new style to bring yourself into the pit lane, backwards is the new pit lane entry style.
Not Luke Mitchinson, very tidy on his pit entry. 141, 136 for Luke, put him into second, but a flying lap from Simon Mazzomo's with his 140.744, which is, it's 4/10 in front of the next car. Let's see what the Flying 15 can do.
There was a few drivers. I know, Pete, you were looking into the pre-qualifying results as well, but there was quite a few drivers into that 40-second. We had about 5 or 6 that were clustered within about a 10th. Or is it
Simon Nicholson, 40 flat. Ross Rizzo, 40.1. Riley Bilson, 40.7. Jason Bent with a 47. Adam Willison with a 40.7. Rob Bowden, 40.8. So there's 10 drivers there.
So a number of drivers up and down the field. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time for the Fast 15. This is it. And critically, have a look at the 56 machine. Damon Woods has opted to move out of that all-conquering BMW, and he's now driving a Porsche GT3 R992 spec. And is that Lachlan Capel in a BMW there as well, or are my eyes deceiving me? No, it's Lachlan Capel in a Porsche as well. I was looking at the BMW to the left-hand side of the screen, so one of his ERT, Evolution Racing Team, teammates in the BMW. Capel is aboard the latest in iRacing GT3 hardware. It's going to be interesting to see the youngster who was happy with a wiggly rear end in that Mercedes. How many times have we seen the rear end of the 18 machine all out of shape?
Doing very well in the Mercedes. Lachlan has been all series, right at the pointy end of the field. Oh, look at them all stacking there, all getting ready to get out. What games are we going to see for the opening couple of laps just while they get some heat into those tyres?
Yep, track
to find out.
Has been one of the key things up and down the field. Who ducks, who dips, who weaves, who dives, and who dodges. Dylan O'Shea was another. Do you want to follow somebody out? Sorry to cut you off, Scott. Do you want to follow somebody out of the last turn and try and get a big slipstream down the start-finish straight in your lap? Well, the dirty air, Pete. The dirty air around here is so massive. you're better off not. I think that's we'll get to that in terms of race trim, but I think in qualifying you just can't afford the toe. Like it's going to give you what 3/10 on the straight, and you're going to lose half a second, 3/4 of a second around the rest of the lap.
Big dive bomb into one, try and get yourself in front. And
oh, you'd have to be brave.
They do call me silly, never brave, but anyway, here we go. Flying 15, the fast 15, as you like to call them. Scott are out on the track.
And the big thing for me was a number of drivers making the move to that Porsche. Look at the entries in the Porsche. We had one Porsche in this series prior to tonight's round. One Porsche. The change to the 992 spec changes a bunch of things, and immediately the games start to be played up in front. The car that's leading all of these guys was also Dylan O'Shea. The last time we saw him was in a Ferrari. Now it's a Porsche. Capel there. Have a look at the games that they're already starting to play. Woods is going, you know what? You guys can play games. I'm going to lead. I want track position.
The Stuttgart specials are out there in the first three cars. Good to see Damon Woods back. He'll certainly be chomping at the bit to lay down a dominant performance tonight. He's going to be pushing hard to try and win this race, as he always is. Certainly got some pace. Has everyone had time to develop this car? It's only come out this week.
It's a lot to ask from everyone to jump on board, get this thing dialed in, set up, and doing the way that you want. It would have taken a lot of time and effort this week. Who has had the time to gear this Porsche and the next evolution of Porsche in terms of simulated racing?
Especially when it's a 45-minute race, so you've got to do a couple of long stints if you want to try and get a bit of a read on it.
I was just about to say Ross Rizzo was digging, looking around in the back end of the field and just digging around. And Ross Rizzo has not wavered on that Lamborghini. He's comfortable. The big question I've got to ask for you tonight, Pete, is race awareness, race ability, car ability on that long haul. That Lamborghini has struggled. This is a track I expect to see the Lamborghinis sort of fall off after about 30 minutes. I don't think they make the 40.
No, but one thing with Ross Rizzo, we've seen him with fast pit stops and he knows how to look after the fuel and the tyres of that car. If he's in a good spot at the end, difficult person to get around, difficult person to have behind you. So watch out for Ross Rizzo.
Dan Yeaman makes his way down the front straight in that Porsche as well. And the traffic all in and around Dan was holding back. They were looking for their track position. Tyres weren't up to temperature. Tyres weren't in the ranges that they were asking. And that meant that they all had to abandon that lap, and they made sure that they got out of the way. Straight out of the gates, Damon Woods, purple in the first sector. He is not hanging around. He is going to go to the top of the time charts, and it's going to be early on in this. Is this a banker, Pete? Does he go hard? We've always seen the evolution of the track. Gets quicker at the back end. Track temperature as well, ladies and gentlemen. Down 2 degrees already. Look at him ride the curbing. He's not afraid in a new car.
No, he's flying and he's using all that track and using all those curves and he's trying to, yes, I'd imagine this is going to be his banker, and we've seen the people who put the bankers in, it's been very beneficial for them in case something happens a little bit later in the race or a little bit later in the qualifying, excuse me. Oh, as he takes that first curb, oh, that's the big curb as you come up the hill. Those sausage curbs are nasty.
Purple in the first sector, purple in the second sector. And everyone who's in behind him is chasing, and no one has been able to better that margin. So it's going to be Damon Woods without much of a guess. I'm going to hazard he's going to go to the top end of town. A 47.43 to beat. He is into the 39s, and Pete Davison called it. The first driver tonight, 39.887. Well, if that's a banker, what's he got left in the tank?
Well, it's a solid banker if I've ever seen one. Daniel Yeaman's put one in too. He's a 40.5 for Daniel Yeaman, which is nice. As a nice lap. Here's Ross Rizzo about to come across the line for his first flying lap.
And Rizzo is going to come down, and where will he slot in? Not inside the top 10 is the answer for Ross Rizzo.
No, well, we did see he was taking a little bit easy. Remember, we've seen people looking after their tyres on their first or second flying lap. So well, I'd say that's...
The time didn't register for Ross Rizzo, so
no,
that was a setup lap for him. It was a second, effectively, formation lap, if you will. So Matt Bailey in the new Porsche as well. God, it looks pretty.
We've got Sebastian Flock still yet to put a lap in, Jason Benson, Alistair Bales, Lachlan Capel, Simon Nicholson. We've got Aaron Cooper, Matty Dench, Dylan O'Shea and Ross Rizzo, so they're all out getting ready for their laps.
Yep, so time's starting to come in.
Damon Woods, though, flying, 1:39.887.
We need to keep half its eye. I tell you what about Matt Dench has gone purple in the first sector. Matt Dench is another driver that has now jumped over to this Porsche, has gone purple in sector 1. What does sector 2 look like now for Matt Dench? Damon Woods improves in the second sector. New second sector best time from Damon Woods. Dench was not able to go quicker in that second sector, but what he did do was improve on his time.
Damon's pushed hard and gone in for tyres. He's gone in for tyres, so I'm assuming he's going to come out and give it another crack.
Yep, what goes on here for Matt Dench? Because the other problem he's got is he's catching Aaron Cooper, and he will pick up a little bit of dirty air. This lap is going to go in the books. The 83 machine leading the championship moves from Ferrari, moves it to Porsche. Purple the first sector. What's he got for us in the final sector? It's good. It's in the 39s, but it's only third best because Capel has also registered himself a 39.934. P2 and P3, there is 1,000th of a second between them, Pete.
And P4.
My word.
Simon Nicholson's put himself in 4 with a 39.975. Ross Rizzo's come in for 5th position. Ross is in Trans-Tasman with a 1:40.4, so he's just outside the 39s. That was his first real flying lap. Daniel Yamer's been knocked back to 6th with his 1:40.5, so this is the fast time now. Anyone who's really going to have a crack, we've seen Woods come in for tyres. He's going to get out for another out lap, which he's currently on. Willison's on an out lap. Nozomo's in the pits from the last session. So we've still got plenty of time for some movement at the front, Scott.
The critical thing for me is that Capel's pushing on. He's not worried about the tyre wear. He's just get as many laps under your belt. Have a look at the track progression as well. Because if that cloud cover hangs around, we're now at just after 5 p.m.
Here's Zach Ratteray. He's the guy you want to watch. Oh, and he's gone a little wide exiting the final turn to get a lap down.
Don't know if he caught the sand, whether or not that will reduce a lap. But seeing an improvement. Capel's into the pit lane, so Capel's coming down to get new tyres. Dan Yeaman, Matt Bailey are also both in. They're going to go out and have another crack on fresh rubber. Here comes Cooper. So it looks to be that this new Porsche is a thing of beauty, it's a thing of wonder, and it's a thing of pace.
And I must say, those last couple of turns onto the start-finish straight there, they look awesome, just sliding around those turns, burning up those tyres. I can see why people are in there getting tyres. And that's what we're going to probably have to watch. Pressures, cambers, who knows how long they're going to be able to hold onto their tyres. And here we have Alistair Bales coming for a flying lap.
We are running out of time. In
141. Sorry, 141.6 for Alistair, puts him to 21. But he's made the flying 15, which is good. And there's Jason Bentz sneaking into the pit lane. He's obviously lost. Oh, I'm not sure what happened there.
No, he's definitely had an issue. 100% Jason Bentz has had an issue in that final corner because that was not the right way to go across, and there was words on the radio from Bentz as well. So he was not happy with something that's going on there. I don't know whether or not that was words to a driver, words to race control. He mic'd up, said half of a word, and shut it down again.
And Betsy with his Speed Cafe livery. Oh, there's people everywhere. Oh, was he balked a little bit?
Oh, he absolutely was.
Balked a lot. Oh, why don't you just stayed out there on your Betsy?
That was ridiculous. The number of cars just lurking about in that final sector. I can tell you, ladies and gentlemen, drivers are now coming down into the final sector. Just about everyone that's come in for a fresh set of rubber is in that final sector and is looking to go on. Damon Woods is just ahead of a couple drivers here. Capel's just let Alistair Bales through. 1 minute warning has now been displayed. Round number 6 of the Speedcafe eSeries qualifying. The Fast 15. Who's got it? Capel is about to start a lap. Damon Woods comes to the final corner. He will start another lap. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is where the action starts in qualifying. Final laps. What has these drivers got to bring to the table? Pete, who have you got your eye on this lap? Is it Woods? Can he improve on that time? Is it Dench? Dench is in the lane. Dench is done.
Oh, Dench is there. That's P3 is not a bad starting position. We see Adam Willison's coming in. Where's he going to put himself in this final? That'll be his final. And he's up into 5th with a 140.3. That was a nice lap from him. And he's been driving very well, Adam, the last couple of races.
Was the lone Porsche driver up until now. Now he's got a few friends out there.
He did well, I think. Was it podium at Imola? To forgive me.
No, sixth place. So we are now at the conclusion of qualifying. If you're not on your lap, you're done. And Capel has had a wiggle in the second sector of the lap, and he is aborted. So his lap is now done. He will be making his way back around the pit lane, and he'll be trying to stay out of everyone's way. Zach Rattray-White, driver in the final sector. He's looking to get a time together. What has he got here for us, ladies and gents? Is he going to be able to improve? I don't know that he will. The sectors aren't looking great here from Zach Rattray-White. Sebastian Flock has done enough. His qualifying session is over. And I don't know, Damon Woods, is he on a lap still? Yeah, he is. He's trucking on. So he's not happy. He's not done. Everyone around him has finished their qualifying. So he is one of very, very few drivers continuing on to put their best laps together. Purple again, so he's improved in that middle sector. Is this all show from the 16-year-old coming out of Victoria, the 56 machine? It's purple in the final sector as well. Does he improve on that lap? You bet your bottom dollar he does. He's going to extend that margin of pole position out to 2.5 tenths of a second. Willison in 5th. What has he got for us in the final stanza of qualifying in the 98 machine? Back to the line. Adam Willison for simrigs.com DPR. Ross Rizzo done in 6th position. Willison does not improve his starting position. I think that lap might have been a touch better. There's a car trapped coming out of the last corner, but it's on the inside of the road, so it is comfortable to be there. Nobody has a problem with that one. Simon Nicholson done as well. And I think this is down at turn 1. No, that's off the second last corner. So
yeah, so I think it's the final turn. Second last turn, you're right.
But that is it. Qualifying's in the books, and the grid's locked in. Everyone now has taken the checkered flag, and there's a couple drivers scrambling out there to try and recover some cars that no longer have enough fuel in them to get back to the lane.
Damon Woods back with a vengeance, certainly push it down. Thomas Hinds, what did we have happen? Here's a replay.
I think it's just down to fuel for most of the drivers. If this is live, this will be a recovery lap, and that's what I think it is. So Damon Woods will be celebrating. Qualifying run done, and yet again, he is the man on the mission.
Second flying lap on those tyres?
I think it was first both times. Well, no, the first time out, he did actually go on that first flying lap. The second lap, it wasn't actually quite there. But anyway, he's managed to settle himself in. So Damon Woods back to the top end of town, a week away, time off in Formula Ford. He's actually going to practice pit lane entry. Don't hate this. I cannot stress, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of practicing.
It's a must.
A strong pit lane entry. This track's probably a little bit less important than most others, but the amount of them that are in tricky locations, just a dart to the right, a la Sandown, where it's near on the racing line.
At Phillip Island, we saw multiple incidents at Phillip Island coming into the pits. We saw 1 or 2 penalties handed out for people getting a bit loose and then overshooting the first point and speeding in pit lane.
So will that be another factor that we're going to be discussing throughout the journey of tonight's racing? So Damon Woods manages to set that best lap of the session. Simon Nicholson did improve late on in that piece. That was the car that was stranded on the front straight. But other than that, ladies and gents, that qualifying order on your left-hand side of the screen, pole position 139.683. And I think this will be the story that we'll be talking about for the rest of the week and into next round. P2 decided by 1,000th of a second. Lachlan Capel, 139.934. Matthew Dench, 139.935. Do you think that Dench is sitting there going, oh man, I know where there was 2,000ths in that lap?
Well, you got to remember now that Matthew Dench is leading the championship, and how will he approach the second half of the Speedcafe eSeries? Will he be just poking around at the pointy end of the field, trying to make sure he maximises the points of each race, letting the fast guys run off, and providing he finishes well, for the rest of the series, it's going to take a lot to beat him.
So, ladies and gentlemen, qualifying run done, and now a 45-minute race to come your way. And the top 5, this is the first time this season, actually, Pete, at the end of qualifying, we've sat down and said this, the top 5 positions: Porsche, 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 and Porsche, the top 5. 6th place, Ross Rizzo was the first of the non-Porsche cars in the Lamborghini, and yes, there's a Porsche in 7th for good measure. 8th, Porsche. 9th, Porsche. Mercedes, 10th. First BMW, 11th. That new Porsche, she's got some bang for her buck.
Certainly does. Which is good to see. It looks like that's what these boys are going to be running for the rest of the series. So we might see a little bit more Porsche activity at the point end of the field. We had a couple of drivers over the first half of the series that did run the Porsche. Yeah, the old Porsche wasn't too bad, but we've certainly had the BMWs, the Ferraris, and the Benzes come back with a bit of pep. And sorry, just listening to race controllers, they're starting to grid up now for the race. Yep. So that was exciting. But Damon Woods has come back, and he's come back where he left off. He was how many pole positions?
Well, most importantly, I was about to say, have a look at that second row of the grid there. Peter Davison, you've got Matthew Dench and Simon Nicholson, teammates. It's been a while since Simon Nicholson's actually been available to come and race in this one. Adam Wilson in behind them. Ross Rizzo on that third row of the grid. Dan Yeaman and Aaron Cooper for Drop Bearer Motorsports and HTS Racing, respectively. Simon Mazzomo and Thomas Hings will round out your top 10. Luke Mitchinson and Sebastian Flock, the top 12 on the page there, Pete.
Yes, if we roll on to the next row of the grid, and we'll see, we've got the guy who you want us to keep our eyes on, Zach Rattray White's currently in 13th, with Riley Bilston in 14th. We've got Matt Bailey 15th in the Porsche. Rob Bowden is 16. Rob's in the Ferrari still. We've got Rob Carmichael in 17. We have Sebastian Vandel with him from Pursuit Sim Racing. We've got Chris Barnes from Tanked in P19 with Marlon McMullen in P20. We've got Alistair Bales for XCM in 21. Seth Browns in 22 for Pursuit Sim Racing. Steve Bartholomew, the Privateer, in 23. And Jackson Austin's rounding out 24 for Team Australia New Zealand.
Yep, over the page, finally, I believe, to our last page worth of drivers here tonight. At Tsuyoshi Safuna, the Japanese entry. To look up Sky Racing, Chris Pellet, unfortunate for the moment that he had in qualifying, he'll feel like he could be a little bit further ahead than that. Daniel Vallicott, Jamie McKnight, we're looking eyes on Jamie McKnight to see how far he comes through the field for Sim Racing. Robbie Bradbury, Andrew Dishot, Amar Sharma and Shane Newens 31st, 32nd. Jason Bent, Dylan O'Shea, Nathan Allen is one of our safety car drivers here this evening, and Luke Di Berardino in 36th place. That is the grid here for round number 6 of the Speedcafe eSeries.
It's only a short roll up too.
So they'll set themselves in. No tight, twisty chicane in that final sector. We're going to have to roll on down and see what happens. And we've got a call that Jason Bentz, unfortunately, has had to take a big L and go and pick up his wife, unfortunately, from work. So he won't be taking part in tonight's further proceedings any further. Unfortunately, real-world commitments take place sometimes when we want to be sim racing. What have the field got for us here tonight? 56 machine has been strong. Is he going to be the strongest? Have a look at how close Matthew Dench is. He's nearly pushing him out of that final corner. Green flag is only moments away from round number 6. Indeed, it's in the air, and here goes Damon Woods. What sort of jump has he got for the field? Watch them as they weave left and right. Caples managed to grab second place. There's no tone out there for Matthew Dench. They are indeed 3 wide, a little bit deeper in the pack. Who's got grip on the run down to turn number 1? It's going to be Woods, followed by Capel. Then it's going to be the settling in of Matthew Dench and Simon Nicholson, the 2 teammates in behind them. We'll see if they can settle it all down and who's got pace. And is there chaos in the back end of the field? No, for the first times I think we make it through turn 1 without too much in the way of drama. Dan Yeaman started out at P number 7, rapidly rising through the field, has managed to try and get down the inside of Ross Rizzo and try and steal one away. He has done that. Looking in the background there is Zach Rattray White going the long way around in the Mercedes as well. Keep your eyes further back in that shot. They're still too wide as they come down to turn number 5. The run off down to turn number 6 and underneath the bridge. It's still in the hands of Damon Woods. And have a look at Dench doing his usual, pulling back off just a little bit. Nicholson under a little bit of pressure from Willison. Yeaman's there and thereabouts as well. Rizzo, Cooper, Basomo, Inns. That's your top 10 as we round the halfway mark of lap number 1, Pete.
Oh, and we had a lot of grouping in the back half of that pack then. We had a few cars out on the dirt. Oh, as we've got another car out on the dirt. Sorry, I'm watching somewhere else. I'm just looking at the back guys. Matthew Bailey, they're still fighting hard. They're on cold tyres. They're on cold reflexes. There's a lot of cars in their area just as you're trying to position yourself and prepare to get through your first lap and just settle in for this 45-minute race. As we can see, Luke Mitchinson, Riley Bilson. There's a little bit of a battle for 11, 12, 13 going on. Bob Sebastian Flox just dropped off the back of them, and behind Sebastian we've got Carmichael Bailey and Bowden all battling it out as we're just about to come around and finish our first flying lap.
Yeah, I was just about to say, Race Controls just had a look at something, or was listening in to something at the back end of what was going on there. So there was some incident that was recorded for something that happened on lap 1, and it's come in from Marlon McMullen, who wanted to have something looked at. So I don't know what's actually gone on there for McMullen, but he was in 20th, I believe, for the start of this race. No longer the case for Marlon McMullen, who's fallen down at 28th at the end of lap number 1, and that 56 Porsche starting to get a little bit of control. We'll note, though, have a look at Dench, because in that early running, Dench backed it up really, really early. Was looking to just settle himself in, was not looking to track in that dirty air of the Porsches up ahead of him. And Pete, that tracks on with what we've seen from Matthew Dench in weeks gone by.
Yeah, certainly. Matthew's a clever driver. He's a mature driver. Oh, that sausage curb's as good as you come out of Worth. Matty Dench is very, very sensible driver in the opening laps. We see him looking after his tyres, which, when there's a bit of a battle on the last 10, 15 minutes of the race, may put him in a little bit better steed. Damon Woods come out flying, and he's nearly a tenth. He's nearly a second out in front at the moment, which is good, with Lachlan Capel's just been sensible, warming the car up as well, just hanging in there. He's in the slipstream. Remember, we discussed these long radius turns create a lot of heat quite quickly.
Update, Sebastian Vandel's been issued a drive-through penalty on lap number 1, which I believe was with Marlon McMullen. Indeed, that's what Race Control said, was that the incident was with the 85 machine. So something happened on the opening lap between those two.
Well, we're going for a replay. We might even see it here.
Is this the exit of turn 3? I think this is run down to turn number 4. No, this is turn 4, turn 5. Yeah, and Marlon McMullen just gets turned by Sebastian Vardell. There was not a hole there. That hole was closing every day of the week, Pete.
Yeah, well, one thing, it's a tight turn there, and it's really easy to run wide on that turn. I did a couple of practice laps, and I must say on my first outing I went wide at that turn and didn't get around. So yeah, very tight radius, the left-hander. It's the first one you go through really on your first lap, so the car's not going to work real well there. Everyone was bunched up, so thankfully not too much damage. A few of the guys just jumped wide and went out on the grass, the marbles into the dirt, and just got around. And is that, I was going to say, Rob Bowden for position?
Yep, indeed it is. So Rob Bowden's got Stephen Bartholomew crawling all over him at this point in time as well. And Jamie McKnight's already up a couple of spots on that opening lap, which we kind of expected from him. Whoa, my word! And there's smoke up ahead there as well. Seth Brown caught a huge piece of that sausage curb. That'll have splitter damage. That'll have aero damage for him underneath the floor of the car. There is no way he got out of that unscathed whatsoever. But have a look at the checking up in this battle pack all the way down deep in the pack. It's terribly difficult to race deep in this pack.
Oh, Seth,
my word!
There's that sausage curve again, and that'll cause big damage to your suspension if you hit that. That car's probably going to be a little bit tweaked in the tweaker. And oh, is that Jamie McKnight? A little bit sideways to the wheel on the dirt. He's up 5 spots, Jamie McKnight. But the big mover of the field, Dylan O'Shea. Am I reading this right? Up 17 positions.
What happened to him in qualifying? Did he actually get a lap in?
He was right at the back. I do not know. I didn't see him. I actually didn't see the car out qualifying.
34th to 17th. on lap number 1 from Dylan O'Shea. What a drive from a driver that has actually started on pole in this series all the way back at Sandown. And I tell you what, if there's one driver who does not want to remember that round, Dylan O'Shea.
It's Dylan O'Shea. Well, we did talk to him about it at Imola, and yeah, he was a bit gutted. He had a couple of incidents there. But anyway, he's bounced back, and he's certainly bouncing back here, much like Damon Woods has, as we're with Matty Dench and Lachlan Capel. We see Damon Woods is pushed away a little bit.
I was just going to say, Pete, that's it's the exit. Turn 8 is the right-hander heading up the hill of turn 9, which we've just gone through, and on the run down the back straight. The number of drivers clambering over that sausage curve now, it's getting worse and worse, but more rubber being laid down in session as it progresses. Maybe not necessarily won't have to burn it as hard. And look at the visibility out the left-hand side of that car. It's not great with that pillar on the left-hand side of things.
No, well, that turn actually comes back on itself, the left-hander, which is Worth, which then turns a little bit of a right kink to go up the hill to Kempster. So that's what they're doing. They just find themselves out there on that line. You want to try and save your tyres a bit and go over to the sausage curve, but she's nasty.
There's a couple of things about these cars you can see on the dashes there. There's quite a number of settings, ladies and gentlemen. ABS and traction control enabled in the GT3 car per the real life specs. You can actually see some of the drivers sometimes fiddling with those things now. I was just wondering, was that Dench having a look down at his settings, having a look down at his steering wheel going through the last couple of corners? He was only a little bit away from the straight. It must have been something quite right there from Matt Dench.
Well, you can also see your tyre pressures, you can see your fuel usage each lap. Although, mind you, on the new Porsche, I'm not quite sure what it shows in there.
Haven't had the... That's a bit of best part of it, isn't it? Is getting a new dash, seeing what's available. A new Cadillac actually came out. Have you had the opportunity to drive the new Cadillac in iRacing yet, the LMDH?
Oh, I haven't, but I do have the BMW, and I was out circulating during the week with a few of the Cadillac drivers. And for myself, I really like the LMP3 car. It's the sort of series I like with a V8, and I like the car with aerodynamics, and it's a right-hand drive. But everywhere I went, no one was running it. And I'm like, oh no.
Motorland Aragon actually got added as well, which I was turning some laps on. Really, really interesting. Anyway, chaos at the back end of the field. It's Atsushi Osafune, the Japanese driver, in and amongst it. And the replay is going to tell the story on behalf of Super Cheap Auto. This looks almost like he's gotten involved in something up ahead of him. Here comes the car behind him. That's Marlon McMullen, I think. And there's just a little bit of a tag.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah, look, it could be either. I thought it was a tag, Pete, but...
No, that's fine. We're just here to comment on the racing. Let's not pull any punches.
Dylan O'Shea's gone and grabbed himself another spot, and now he's going to be crawling all over the rear bumper of Riley Bilson. So another youngster, another two of the youngsters about to go toe-to-toe. With the rate that Dylan O'Shea is coming through this field, I'll tell you what, 8 minutes and 30 seconds in, he's already in the top half of the field.
Not a lot happening in this slipstream, but here it is where it's really going to come through at the fast part at the end of the straight, and he's got him.
Not even close. Is there a DRS flap in that rear wing, the way it got through?
Well, he's pushing hard. You know, will we see Dylan O'Shea maybe grab some left side tyres a little bit later in the race? I think we're about 15 or 16 laps they should be able to get on the first fuel load that they've run in. We're looking at about a 40-lap race maybe. Nice wide circuit. We shouldn't have any safety cars here unless there's something dramatic happens. But let's not give it the commentator's curse.
Keep half an eye on Rob Carmichael. Whoa, was that deep from O'Shea? He looked a little bit funky on the way in there, but I was just going to say, Rob Carmichael, another driver that's won a race so far this season. He will be the first of the drivers to sit there and say, maybe I didn't have necessarily the outright pace, but it was in the right places when it counts, in the right places when it counts at Catalunya. Really, really important. Update from the front of the field as well. 3.3 seconds is the margin currently that Damon Woods has already pulled. And here comes Dylan O'Shea looking to the inside. And Carmichael says, yep, not interested. All yours, buddy.
Well, Rob's playing the long game. He's been focused wholly and solely his sim racing for the Speedcafe eSeries. So he's out there hunting some points. As you said, he's had a win under his belt, which is very good for him. And, you know, to be at the right spot at the right time when the leaders turn around, yeah, there's a bit of pace there. You've got to be fast to be up there and sensible driving. And he certainly had a race to come home and win Sandown, which is his home track. That's there. Matt Bailey's a little wide. You don't want to go any further.
Riley Bilson's just ahead of him in the Audi. I will actually say I really like this Visceral Esports Porsche actually from Matt Bailey there. So far of the teams have been able to get a livery done. Wrap applied to those cars nice and quickly. That is the better looking of them. Look at the games that are being played down the start finish straight. Here it comes. It's going to be Austin trying to get down the inside of Berardino, and here comes Barnes as well, trying to buy into this argument. And this, ladies and gentlemen, might be for 27, 28, 29th on the track. But who the hell cares? Have a look at the dogfight we're in the middle of here, Pete.
It's got Lando Norris and Lewis Hamilton written all over it. But they've gotten through safely. They've done a great job. There's been no carbon fibre flying off their cars. And Chris Barnes right out sideways. Here comes his teammate. No, it's not.
I was about to say. Was Robbie Bradbury just giving him a little bit of a hurry up there, and Chris Pellett's actually just said, I've got a bump and run. So there's a number of drivers that are starting to get all sort of wound up, and it was at the start of the lap for Chris Pellett. He was in 20th spot, and I believe that he's actually being touched up on this lap, whether or not it's by Seth Brown. He was in behind. Sorry, he did start at lap 26. Yeah, so something's going on there. But Damon Woods is just gone. I'm curious about his tyres compared to Capel's tyres.
4 seconds now. He's up in front as he rolls across to start lap.
Mr. Tell, this is what Chris Pellett was talking about.
Oh yeah, yep.
And they're just locked together the whole way down and into that corner. And that's all stemmed from the mistake that was made by Chris Pellett, and another car slides on through. So it's the 5 of Seth Brown that's the benefactor there. But that was a tricky moment for both of them. In the meantime,
it's always tough.
Matt Dench got past Capel.
And Lachlan Capel looks like he's got Nicholson's also on his tail. Simon Nicholson's very close. What's happened to Lachlan Capel?
So whether or not he's driving to a fuel number, he's trying to save a little bit of gas, whether he's trying to save a little bit of tyres. Don't forget, Matthew Dench and Simon Nicholson are teammates as well, so they will be working together. There will be a little bit of communication going on between those two.
Curb again.
Oh, it gives me the willies, because sometimes you just strike it and you lose a bit of the splitter, and there goes all your downforce.
Yep. And it's hard as we're just looking back at that little bit of contact. There's that little bit of contact. It's hard. What do you do with these guys? You want them to race each other. You don't want to constrict them, but you want it to be fair. As we see, there's Matthew Dench's pass on Lachlan Capel, puts him into P2.
I wonder whether or not Capel actually didn't want to lead that one, because he saw Dench coming, but he also didn't get a great drive off of the corner. So I wonder whether or not there was a lot of saving or something going on from the 18 machine of Lachlan Capel. Either way, job done now. Keep your eyes further back on Adam Willison and Dan Yeaman. This one's been going on since the start of the race, and Ross Rizzo's right there with those guys as well.
Fastest lap of the race, Matthew Dench with a 140.6.
Well, that'll change the argument.
Actually, let me say, hang on a second, I'll take that back. Damon Woods, 140 flat, 140 flat. Puts himself out to 4.5 seconds in front. Capel with a 49, that's fast. Oh, there we go. Nicholson's with a 40.4. So that was just the fastest lap for Dench. It was his green lap. Yeah. So maybe we're seeing Matthew Dench start to push on now.
Yep, so have a look at those top 4. They're all in the 40s, but everyone else just about in the 41s. That tells you the difference we've got in just how balanced those cars are at the moment. We've seen raw pace come out of the Porsches. We don't know enough at the moment. This is the first major test of this Porsche 992 GT3R. What is it going to happen on the tyres? And if you count by Damon Woods' standards, absolutely nothing. He is tight. He's comfortable. That rubber is working quite well underneath him. But we are just about to tick off the 3rd race distance mark. Oh my word, Seth Brown and Chris Pellett are at it again.
We've got Willison now, they're fighting with Daniel Yeaman, who didn't want to hit that sausage curb. He tried to dodge that a lot as we come across to the last couple of turns to finish lap 9. So we are Porsche first. Porsche.
Oh, hang on! We've got drama! We got drama! I'm pretty sure there's multiple cars off at the moment, and I have a sneaking suspicion it's Chris Pellett. There's one of them. Robbie Bradbury might have been another. There's quite a few cars that were caught up in this. So I think it was 3 cars in all sideways, and they've managed to come away with it. And this will tell the story. I think it's Mullen who shouldn't have been back there. Something happened on lap 1 between him and Varndell. It's just the 2 of them that got caught up in that one. I think indeed it was Marlon, McMullen, and Chris Pellet. Pellet's just had to sit there. Pellet has got a problematic race ahead of him because he's just been about caught up in everything. And ladies and gentlemen, Riley Bilson, the first of the takers to come into the pit lane for his scheduled stop within this race as well. So pit crews, get ready because it's about to come through. Benefit here for Riley Bilson. The track is going to be clear, and McMullen's just come to pit lane as well just after that spin. Not a bad idea to cool the tyres off by a circuit through pit lane. Whether or not they take tyres, Pete, well, that's what you're here for. Well, here we go! The dive bomb down deep into the hairpin, and the 16 machine of Nicholson will get that job done. And again, the youngster of Cable. He's happy to let these go. He's just biding his time, chomping away at the bit. He's got 4th place locked in by quite a handy margin. I don't think he's too ruffled by this.
Sorry, I'm still trying to see if anyone's pitting and doing tyres, which isn't happening, but that was a great move from Simon Nicholson to put himself in the 3rd position.
Yep, late and opens the door. Capel gave him just enough room, and that's a little bit of respect earned there from Simon Nicholson. And Capel does look up to him a little bit. One of the drivers out there in the GT3 cars has had an eye on for a little bit. Enjoys watching him race, and for him, it's the ability to go racing with one of the superstars he's aware of.
And that's the thing, we've got a big mixture of age groups, a big mixture of experience, and there's a lot of very young guys that come through and have been watching some of these other drivers do sim racing for quite a few years now. And look, they've picked a few tricks up from them, and they show a bit of respect back to them. Lachlan Capel's playing the long game, of course. He's now put himself into P2 into the championship, so he wants to score as many points as he can. Smart driving. He's only a youngster, so it's very clever.
My concern, though, Pete, is it's not a huge margin back to Damon Woods. And, well, with Woods leading this race, he's got to scoop up just about every point he can. And I know it's difficult, I know it's tricky, I know it's a new car, but it's the same for all of our top 5, all of our top 6.
Well, Matt, Damon, Simon, Lachlan, Adam. There's a fair spread there, 6 seconds. Matty Dench to Damon Woods. And Damon Woods is still pushing on by the looks of things. And that's another one of those interesting sausage curbs you just want to stay to the right of as you come around the last turn, as he's to finish up his lap number 11. Lap 12, he's on lap 12.
Yep, so we'll see how this one sorts itself out. Pit window now open. Nicholson into the 40.8s and Capel starting to fall off. That was a 41.3. What we noticed last round, albeit in a different manufacturer of car, Mercedes versus Porsche, was that Capel fell off as that race developed, as that race went on. And now we get the opportunity to have a look at Dylan O'Shea really starting to close out. He's just about clawed his way in less than half the race to the top 10. I reckon this is only a couple corners away from being signed, sealed, and delivered for Dylan O'Shea. Simon Mazzomo, keep your mirrors handy. You're going to need to check them because here comes Dylan O'Shea. Going to try and slide down the inside of Simon Mazzomo. Job done. Up inside the top 10 after starting 34th. That is 24 positions gained, Peter. That's insane.
9-5 teammate Simon Mazzomo was never going to make that difficult for him. Great drive from Dylan O'Shea from the back of the grid. Jamie McKnight style drive. We were talking about the people's champion, and here comes one of the youngsters. Dylan O'Shea has come through from the back as he mounts that sausage curve that they've all been hitting. And you talk about the pit window being open. We're going to run to the pit window when you're just going to have to pit by about lap 14, 15, 16, depending on your fuel usage.
Sort of keeping my eyes on who comes into the pits, when do they come into the pits, and the driver we've got our eyes firmly planted on is Damon Woods out in front, obviously by a country mile. But who comes first? Does Capel come into the pit lane? Because if he's on ailing tyres, he's going to split this thing in two, 22 and a half minutes.
Well, on around again.
Yep. Okay, something's just happened to Riley Bilson.
Mechanical failure. He's had a mechanical failure. He's lost pedal power. And then we are. Ross Russo's into the pits.
Oh my word, he's right on the racing line as Riley Bilson. They're going to have to call a safety car. They're going to have to call a safety car. And Ross Rizzo might have pulled a masterstroke here. He's just said he's lost all power to his pedal box. There's nothing he can do. He is stuck. Well, there's nothing they can do. He's just parked there. Bilson can't do anything. He's got no power. He's got no drive. And you're going to see just about the entire field pit under this safety car and have a look at it. Because have a look at that timing sheet on the left-hand side.
They're dialing in. They're diving in. The pit lane's full.
Something funky is going on there for Bilson.
And I'm seeing tyres on some cars, yes. Marshama tyres. Wow, Damon Wood, great drive, opening drive. And what can happen? The safety car in the wrong spot. Oh no, look, the pedals have gone. Riley Bilson, no wonder his car looks so badly damaged. That is a huge accident.
There was no brakes as he went down in there into turn one. Nothing to arrest him whatsoever. This is a
Damon Woods is entering pit lane.
Just have a look. 6th gear. That number at the top of the dash there is his gear. That's the gear he's in. So he's in 6th gear. Just no arresting that car whatsoever. He's had a massive failure. Massive failure.
Oh, Dench is taking tyres, but Damon Woods isn't. Lachlan Capel isn't. Nicholson is. Adam Wilson is.
I think if you're Damon Woods, you're so far out in front, you may as well, like, the worst possible thing that can happen is for you to not take tyres and they fall off. I think you've got to, if you're in Damon Woods' shoes. We're going to see what goes on from everyone. 34-second transit time here for Damon Woods, 32 seconds for Dench, and just about 33 seconds for everyone else. Capel's going to maintain station, and the 985 of Dan Yeaman has managed to grab a spot in this pit lane window. The critical driver for me was Ross Rizzo, and I wanted to see where he poked his head out in, which he's managed to go back into P7. And the critical thing for that was that Ross Rizzo pit before that safety car was actually called. So it hasn't influenced things very much at all.
Great looking Aston Martin Speedcafe safety car. It's got control. We're waving them through. He's just trying to pick up the leaders. Oh, you'll have to forgive me. It does look like I can see when they do a tyre change because the car is raised. So it's interesting you mentioned those transit times through the pits. So it'll be very interesting to see at the end of the race just who did and didn't take tyres. Sorry, just looking at a little call from a pit lane exit. Someone may have run over the cones.
No, I don't think it's anything to do with the cones. What I think it is they were looking for the timing line. Like, where is the positions locked in? Because the other thing that's critical to note was, remember, Ross Rizzo pit the lap before, so he was coming around. When that safety car queue is caught, where do you go? Okay, it's green cone. Okay, it's blue cone. Doesn't matter what your point is on the track, but it's you just got to be consistent for everyone. And of course, the drivers, when they're in the car, they really can't see where that cone is, so they're not necessarily 100% aware. Do you remember the Sebastian Vettel overtaking the entry to pit lane in China a couple of years ago?
No, I don't.
Ferrari, there was a couple cars ahead, safety car was out, and there was a couple of cars that were already on the pit lane speed limiter on the way in. Sebastian Vettel took to the grass to make an overtake on the pit lane entry because they hadn't hit the pit lane speed limit yet, but cars were already obeying that limit. Heads up driving here. We'll have a look. Race control will get back to us to let us know who was ahead out of Adam Willison and Dan Yeaman. Again, the drivers were just saying on the chat, basically, not sure what the marker is. Can you just confirm what the marker is, and we'll reset the order, whatever that marker is. Certainly. So that's always good.
I did see Tony Kanaan at the Indy 500 the other week take to the grass to overtake somebody as there was low out of turn 2. Don't know if you saw that. Yes,
I did see that. that was the moment of the week. Have you seen? Well, here we go. This will be the pit lane exit between Dan Yeaman and Adam Willison. So green cone, Willison is ahead. And then, of course, because we're a simulator, we phase the cars through each other. And the pit lane exit ends there. So there's the blue cone. So by the blue cone, the 985 is indeed ahead. However, race controller come back over and just said you will reverse that. It's where the green cone, that where you exit the pit lane speed limit.
Sounds good to me.
So Willison will be ahead of Dan Yeaman.
I can appreciate any spot you can take is a wonderful thing. Look at these guys in the top 10 now. We're all in a good position to start battling and grabbing another couple of spots. The safety car certainly has tightened things up, and what an unusual safety car it was, from a mechanical failure from one of the drivers and in turn into a huge crash. Could have put him anywhere else on the wide track, put him in the middle of the road on the apex.
Yeah, no choice, and it was very, very quickly noticed and picked up by race control here as well. I think this will be the final lap of the safety car period, and again, it's made its entry into the Speedcafe eSeries. Safety cars in sim racing, yay or nay, Peter Davidson? Obviously, it makes sense given that they're there in real life racing.
Definitely, and the whole idea of the Speedcafe eSeries is to simulate racing in the real world. So when something happens and we need to reset the race and take control and just settle everything down, that's what the car's there for. So yeah, I'm a yay for safety cars. I do like it when we have a nice clean race and don't have to have one, but
we've had a few both ways at this point in the season. We've had some that have gone green all the way through. We've had safety cars. So it's been good that we've had a good mix. If we'd have gone the way through the season without seeing a safety car, I think both of us would have been sitting here going, gee, I would have liked to have seen the Aston Martin out on track.
You'd see both of us talking to race control going, can you just tweak the weather a little bit, make it a bit warmer?
Well, ladies and gentlemen, with 17 minutes and change on the clock, Damon Woods is going to be handed back the lead of the Speedcafe eSeries race, as this safety car is going to peel off into pit lane in just a few moments. Matt Dench, for the first time tonight, is going to have a real opportunity to connect with his rear bumper and see who is the stronger out of the two that have led the way just about all of the Speedcafe eSeries. Capel, what's he got for Simon Nicholson? His tyres fell by the wayside about the 20-minute mark. We've got less than that to go in terms of racing. We are 2 corners away from going back to green flag behaviours. Who, at the end of the field, has got a little bit of something, and who is going to stop Dylan O'Shea? Because remember, Dylan O'Shea was about 15-20 seconds off the lead of this race. He's only just out of sight. He's in P9. He's in with a shot, and we are green. They did not hesitate there whatsoever. Damon Woods on the run to turn 1.
Great restart from Damon Woods. He's got a nice jump over Matty Dench, and there's some weaving going on. No one wants to give anyone a slipstream. He's just waving to his crew in the pits there as we come into turn 1. Damon Woods has got a nice restart. It's quite tidy as we look down the straight, and everyone filters into the first 1, 2, and 3.
Well, the key thing there for me was he was looking for a little bit of tyre temperature. Where are the first moves going to be thrown? Who's got control of this one? In the meantime, Woods is nearly out to a second. There's chaos at turn number 1, and Rob Carmichael is one of the cars that's involved in it. This will be the exit at turn 3 on the run to turn number 4. I think that's nearly in the braking zone, actually, for turn number 4. And Chris Barnes was the car. I thought it was Chris Barnes that was backwards in turn number 1.
Indeed, bunching up. Rob Carmichael's had to do an Austin Powers U-turn, never fast.
And now have a look at them all bunched up in and behind Capel. Capel was there. He was P2 in qualifying. Now he's P4, and he might just be going further backwards, because have a look at Willison. Willison is there and harassing his rear bumper. Now he's going to try and see if he can get down the inside. Here goes Willison. Gets it down there. Parks the car up. Gets a tag from Capel and gets escorted to the gravel for his trouble.
Wow, so very deep, too deep, a little bit of damage to the cars.
Well, they're still there. Now he's rubbing and grinding with the cars he's around. It's D-Shot, I believe, as well. Stephen Bartholomew, another Porsche facing in the wrong direction, will manage to pick that one back up, and we'll be back to racing after that. But I tell you what, safety cars breed action.
Oh, there it is.
Absolutely, my word, Pete.
That was well calculated nearly well calculated to just come in tight for Capel. There's Jamie McKnight in 15th spot coming around him. So Jamie's actually gone up quite well, but he wants the position back. There's a little bit of rubbing there. Now, do we see the cars that took tyres with a little bit of early heat in their tyres from the coming straight out the safety car, and the cars that took tyres requiring a little bit more time? Oh, there it is again.
He's trying to pull the car up so that he can actually turn into the corner, and I feel like a penalty is probably coming for Capel, because if you go based upon the rule book, that's pretty much the same. Oh my word, Dylan O'Shea!
Nice.
Hello! He got a freebie on that previous lap. Now he's picked off 2 more. He's in 6th place.
Dylan O'Shea. Nice move.
Forget the nice move. Nice drive, O'Shea. I can't get over this. This is unreal. Look at the late move from O'Shea. You don't do that. You don't do that.
Do we have to put up the driver of the day stats for the...
Well, now he's gone toe-to-toe with Daniel Yeaman, and he is not hanging around. This is P5 from 34th. He's going to get a little bit of a tap, a little bit of help. Is that him redressing? Is that him saying to Dan Yeaman, I think I might have overstepped my margins there, have it back, and we'll go racing again and I'll earn it back?
Nice driving by both drivers with Ross Rizzo behind them, looking to take advantage of either of the two of them. Went a little wider than they did, and we did see 2 wheels out there on the dirt, so there wasn't much room left. These guys are pushing on for these 5, 6 and 7.
You know, I've come to blows on sim racing a couple times with Dylan O'Shea. Not one of his biggest fans, but after tonight, change that. I've got a lot of respect for that, because I'm reasonably certain he redressed that move. I reckon he looked at Dan Yeaman and went, yeah, look, that's probably not fair, have it back.
Do we see Ross Rizzo into Repsol?
Maybe. Here it comes as well. So this is all on for Young and Old. Now they're looking to squabble over P5. Yeaman makes it go a little bit of defensive, and O'Shea's going to come away with a spot. There was some argy-bargy. Now O'Shea's checking up. Now Yeaman's had to check up. Here comes Cooper. Cooper's up in a 7th place. Now it's going to be down the inside. It's Thomas Hinds who's going to come away with that spot. And Thomas Hinds gets it to 8-7. Flock is now on his inside as well at the ERT. BMW, and Dan Yeaman has gone from a great finishing position to now he's the cork in the bottle. They check up, and it's now going to be Flock out through the grass, manages to hang on to it just, but where's he going to rejoin? He's lost a boatload of spots. I think that's 8 spots for Flock. He's gone backwards. And
Daniel Yeaman fighting for 5th position, fighting for 4th. Dylan O'Shea's now in, fighting for 5th. Dylan O'Shea's now in 5th. He's got back past Ross Rizzo. We'll watch the replay of that. That was pretty exciting.
Yeah, Ross Rizzo's giving Yeaman a little bit of a hurry up, but it's because O'Shea's checking them both up, and they're just rubbing and grinding the whole way through. And again, I think that's O'Shea actually trying to give the spot back to Yeaman. Again!
It did look like that. I would agree with you there.
So he's having multiple cracks, but he's earning his respect. He goes, right, yeah, that was cheeky, but I want to race for it fairly. And now he's up in 5th place, and was that him that was called through on a race control for that one from Dan Yeaman? I can understand Yeaman's upset with that one for sure.
There has been a request to have a look at that incident.
Oh, Rob Bowden. Well,
which is a shame, because it was good racing. It was just a bit, they had a bit of contact. That's a bit of bad luck, and you know, what do you do? We discussed it earlier. You want these guys to race. You don't want there to be biff and barging, but you don't want there to be, excuse my language, if this is PG, pussyfooting around and just letting each other go past. You want to have a bit of a battle. You don't want to restrict the drivers.
If you're doing O'Shea, do you redress them? Like, there's better ways to. I think the redress was cheaply done, that's what's caused the secondary contact. If that's the case, if it's the case, we've got to determine that, and that's the job that race control got ahead of them. Was O'Shea attempting to redress it? Has Rizzo tripped over somebody, and then has that caused a secondary incident? And how do you manage all of that? That is not an easy question to resolve.
Well, part of the requirements of running in the Speedcafe eSeries is you have to supply your telemetry to race control if they request it. So, you know, we might see something even. There can be post-race reviews through this series, but we always prefer to see it happen on the racetrack. But yeah, that was certainly exciting as Daniel Yeaman's back in P8.
Good call, Pete. I think the post-race review on that one actually would be totally appropriate, because we're never gonna resolve that puzzle. The one puzzle that doesn't need resolving is how quick is Damon Woods. Well, we only restarted a couple laps ago. 3.5 seconds. Gone.
Very quick, very. Is that the correct terminology to use? At lap 20 of this race, with we were in 10 minutes to go, we're under 10 minutes to go.
You know what? My favourite part of this from Adam. Oh! That was cheeky. That was cheeky. He didn't need to move across on.
Seth Brown and Willison?
On Matt Bailey, I think it was, in that beautiful, beautiful Porsche. He didn't need to move across the 117, and he did. Why would you slam the door there, Pete? There's no reason to.
Look, things happen. You don't. Sometimes it's hard to also see this as a new car. Was which driver did come over there? That looked a little bit different. 98 was he a little bit too far to the left? It is through the right, left, right. It's a tough part of the track.
But he wasn't necessarily left to hold deal of room. There's multiple call-ins coming to race control in this lap. Couple drivers. I believe it was Robbie Bradbury, and I believe the other one was Robbie Carmichael as well. So not a great night to be named Robbie. Late on in the piece, and here comes Willison.
Well, the Speedcafe eSeries, Speedcafe is Australia's premier motorsport website, and tonight it's certainly putting on one of iRacing's premier events, I'd say. It's very exciting. We're in the last 10 minutes, and we've seen a lot of excitement there because people's tyres are starting to get hot. If they haven't changed them, we're getting low on fuel. People are out of position.
Okay, so we're keeping our eyes on. Yeah, so unfortunately, Chris Pellett's night's gone from bad to worse. He's picked himself up a mechanical black flag for damage received, as well as hitting the incident point limit, which was, I think, one of the first times that's actually happened. But with the amount of times that, unfortunately, Chris Pellet has got to feel like a ping pong ball at this point, because he's been knocked from pillar to post, and Sebastian Vardell is going to get by Andrew Dishot and get his way up into 18th place on a recovery drive after that contact with Marlon McMullen on lap number 1. Can't hate it from his side to ding. In the meantime, with 7 minutes left on the table, it is going to be Damon Woods who leads this one away. Matt Dench and Simon Nicholson line astern for PGZ in P2 and P3, and Capel is now 6 seconds back. Capel is about to get caught by Dylan O'Shea. That's O'Shea right there. 34th to 5th. It's going to become 34th to 4th. Capel has got to get a run on. He is in supreme danger of falling to 5th spot. 29 spots game. Can we see the big 3-0?
It looks like a bad George Lucas shark movie with that Porsche coming in the revision mirror getting closer and closer. Do you remember we have a 20 incident point limit? And if oh, look at him, he's a bit sideways, isn't he? He's a little bit loose, Lachlan Capel. Dylan O'Shea certainly caught him, and we're on for a position change here if you can keep this up. Dylan O'Shea, certainly, you don't even have to put this out to the supporters. It's going to be the driver of the night.
Yeah, well, have a look at how close he is, and now he's got a draft on this long front straight at Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. Here comes the strongly resurgent Dylan O'Shea, proving that a last to first challenge, whilst not necessarily directly possible, you can get damn well close. He's within 10 seconds, well, he's just outside 10 seconds of the race lead, and he has been on a charge all night long, picking cars off left, picking cars off right, and this is a drive that deserves its own place in history of the Speedcafe eSeries.
Yes, certainly, but maybe the driver of the series will... got a couple of laps to go still. As just saying that, while we focus on these guys, I'll just tell you, Damon Woods, 5 seconds he's pulled out on Matty Dench. Matty Dench and Nicholson are still together, with Lachlan Capel obviously right on screen here, with Dylan O'Shea looking hungry right now, and I think we're very close to having a move here. He's lining him up, he's just trying to put him off.
Just trying to position it in the right circumstances. And I can tell you that the 985 instance, that is the incident with Dan Yeaman. There is going to be no action from race control on that one. They see that one as a racing incident. It's just good, hard racing. Right in the heat of the battle. Talking about the heat of the battle. Talking about the heat of those brakes. And Capel with the switchback. Will O'Shea was there. He sent it deep. He got it aggressive. And that's nearly identical to the move that we saw immediately after that safety car restart.
Smart driving from Lachlan Capel. He's only a young kid. Oh, sorry, excuse me.
Well, so it's Dylan O'Shea. But I tell you what, O'Shea this time is much, much closer to the rear bumper of the 18 Porsche. It's Porsche versus Porsche. It's 18 versus number 19. They are fighting for 4th and 5th on track, and I don't know about fighting because here comes O'Shea. Late braking maneuver. He tried one on the last lap. It takes him until lap 23, but he has gone from P34 to P number 4. Forget the lead of the race. We should have had a camera strapped to this guy all night.
Plus 3-0 positions, Dylan O'Shea.
What do you say? At the end of that, you basically just say, well, look, imagine the race we could have had if qualifying went okay.
Lachlan Capel down 3 spots, and just to give you a little bit of comparison, Matthew Dench up 1 spot, Simon Nicholson plus 1 spot.
Yeah, they've all gone from Lachlan Capel's tally. That's where they've been sneaking them from. And I don't think there's enough time left in this race for Dylan O'Shea to go on and catch the next cars ahead. He's got 7 seconds the margin, so we're going to now switch our action back to Mitchinson because this is a battle with Thomas Hinz and Matt Bailey and Adam Willison. And Willison's, remember, on that recovery effort for the contact cable immediately after the safety car. 3 minutes on the in-game timer, and that means we're going to have 2 laps left to run, Peter. Who's your pick from this battle pack?
Well, this is a bit tight for me. I'm still trying to look at who's coming from behind. So we've just had a change of position there with Adam Willison from Matt Bailey. We've got Luke Mitchinson. Anything could happen.
That's the second time that Adam Willison's had to make his way past Matt Bailey. Manages to get that one done this time. Now it's the BMW Mercedes up ahead that he's got his eyes set on, and O'Shea's going to set a 40.0598. Rizzo is rapidly closing in on Lachlan Capel. Capel set a 42-second lap on that lap. 1 minute 42. He is struggling. He is in dire straits. He lost 3/4 of a second on that last lap to Ross Rizzo, and Rizzo is just about that distance back from his rear bumper now. He's going to be there with 1 lap left to run.
You visually see that gap coming down.
You talked about that Shaw's theme song.
I nearly did it before. I was going to do it, but I thought I won't.
I was going to say that it might be Dylan O'Shea's theme song, but right now Ross Rizzo is hoping for every advantage he can get out of that beat.
I think it's Lachlan Capel's theme song in his car. Actually, I need to turn that tape off. I need to change USB sticks. What do we have, George? Oh, here we go. Here's back at the pack we're talking about.
Yep, Willison's looking for a spot, but in the meantime, Hinz has actually lost the spot here to Mitchinson. So Mitchinson's got this spot taken off of him since the start of the lap. Willison, so Hinz has lost 2. Now to the outside. That's a long way offline there for Matt Bailey, and that's going to miss his run up down the back straight to prevent any chance to come back at him. In the meantime, does Hinz got enough momentum? He's going to certainly go to the inside on the run of the hairpin. Gets covered off. Nearly gets a little bit of a rub for his troubles from the wheels of Adam Willison. White flag in the air, ladies and gentlemen. There is 1 lap left to this motor race, and, well, it's been a boring old race for Damon Woods. Everyone else has had a fair bit of fun, a fair bit of whack, a fair bit of rough and tumble. But for the 56 Porsche, it has been clinical.
Well, as you say about that pack with Mitchinson, Willison, Hinz and Bailey, we saw the Porsche get past the AMG. Here's Ross Rizzo going for Lachlan Capel. You said it was going to happen on the last lap. Here we are. It's the last lap, and there he is.
There's nothing between these guys now. Another 7/10 of a second taken out of Lachlan Capel. And Ross Rizzo is absolutely on a charge. The 18 machine was a Mercedes last week. This week it's a Porsche. Ross Rizzo gets squeezed to the inside of the run down to turn number 4. He's there. He's up and alongside. Was that a little bit of a rub? Was that him checking up? These two are really, really good friends. They love talking to each other. They love racing GT3 cars. The send from Rizzo. They make contact. They both get out the other side. Here comes the 784. The Lamborghini has struggled on its tyres just about the entire season. The youngster right now, Lachlan Capel, in trouble. He's hurting. He's only got a half a lap to get back to the start-finish straight. He needs these points. This is critical for his championship. Can he hang on to second place in the championship? Is Ross Rizzo going to deny him another bag of points? He's going to take it to the line. Capel covers it. You would expect that from Lachlan Capel. He's looking to hang on to the spot. In the meantime, from the last corner, Damon Woods, the 5-6 machine. Last week, 2 weeks ago, he was racing Formula Fords. Tonight, he's the victorious in Circuit de Barcelona, Catalunya. It's going to be Dench from Nicholson to round out your podium. The superstar of the night, Dylan O'Shea. What a drive for the 19 Porsche. And here comes Capel. He's managed to hang on to it. Rizzo's right there. Rizzo runs out of time. Capel comes home in 5th, 6th place for Ross Rizzo. Aaron Cooper, Dan Yeaman, Simon Mazzomo, Adam Willison will get back to 10th place there at the back end of that one. And have a look at the duel all the way down the start-finish straight as well. Mitchinson just barely gets away from Thomas Hins, and Matt Bailey there in 13th position, as well as Rob Bowden home in 14th, Sebastian Flock 15th. My word. This series never stops delivering. Never. Take your eyes off the action for a moment, and, well, it's a blink and you'll miss it kind of thing, Pete.
Well done to Damon Woods. He did miss an event. He'd had a hiccup or two at a couple of races beforehand in this series, so to come back out and show that sort of domination was a very impressive drive from him, I must say. Safety car brought him back to the pack, which is certainly anything that'll rattle a driver when you've put in, especially if you've taken a little bit extra out of your tyres to try and get away from the rest of the pack. But no, Damon Woods put his head down, and that was dominating race. Very nice drive from Damon Woods. And Matty Dench, also a great drive from Matthew Dench and Simon Nicholson, the teammates from Team PGZ. They worked together at the end. Obviously, probably wasn't going to be a big battle between those two. Nicholson's just having a look at the points where he is behind. I'll come back to that. But anyway, that was a great drive by them. Dylan O'Shea, well, we've said it enough tonight. Solid drive of the day. Don't have to put it out to the punters. We can call that one, I'd imagine, there, Scotty.
Yeah, my word, that was just awesome, just to see how good the drive from Dylan O'Shea was. Cable was just wearing those tyres out. No celebrations really from Damon Wood. There was a little bit of a skid in the middle of the lap. New car, you got to figure out how to get the best burnouts out of the thing. So burnout practice, I think, in the near future for Damon Woods. All good race car drivers are stunning at burnouts. So lift your game, Damon. About the only thing that he's dropped the ball on here tonight.
Yeah. Well, he's just looking after his car there. There's a bit of smoke from his tyres. But that last little battle with Lachlan and Ross Rizzo was exciting. A little bit of contact. The guys were showing each other a lot of respect, plus really putting the pressure on. So that was a great battle. Aaron Cooper and Daniel Yeaman, well, he had a good battle up until that last little one where he just got checked up. There was 4 or 5 cars. Easy to do. They were all fighting positions late in the race. So, yeah, bad luck for him. Simon Mazzomo's in position 9 for 9.5 Simsport. It was a good drive from Simon, and Adam Willison rounds out the top 10 for Simrigs.
Yeah, and what a good drive, actually. I enjoyed that recovery effort from Adam Willison later on in the piece there as well. Luke Mitchinson, Thomas Hins, Matt Bailey, Rob Bowden, Seb Flock, Seth Brown, Jamie McKnight, Sebastian Varndell. From the tail end of the field for Varndell, that's actually not a half bad drive. A little bit aided by that safety car late on in the piece as well. 19th and 20th is going to be Marlon McMullen, who got involved in the chaos in lap 1, Andrew Dishot, Daniel Vellicott, Stephen Bartholomew, Chris Barnes, Zach Rattray White. I was looking for more from Rattray White here this evening if he wanted to stay inside that top 10, not working for him. Jackson Austin, Rob Carmichael as well. Another drama field at night. MR Sharma gets into 27th, at least inside the top 30 from Robbie Bradbury, Luke Beragino, Shane Newens, Chris Pellet. My word, that guy was just, he signed up to be a punching bag, I think, here tonight. Alistair Bales, Riley Bilson with the pedal troubles, and
huge crash.
Osafune, Jason Pence obviously not starting.
Jason started, but had the call out to go and pick his wife up, which does happen on Friday nights for Betsy. So good on him for, unfortunately, when the real world gets in front of the sim world. But yeah, great drive from car 56, Damon Woods. Just back on.
It's all yours, mate. I was going to say, I think we've got Damon actually already organised and ready to go, mate. So all yours.
Damon, welcome back. That was a solid drive. You missed out 2 weeks ago, and so welcome back. How you feel?
Yeah, I'm pretty happy with how that went. I got to grips with the new car pretty well. It was very similar to how I had this set up in the now Legacy 911 GT3. So I was able to transfer specific settings across, and yeah, obviously I was able to make a good enough setup to pull away and keep it that way.
That's great. You do your own setups, do you?
Yeah. So to be competing at the top level on iRacing, you can't really be ultra competitive using setup shops like VRS and stuff. So yeah, you have to learn what does what, and yeah, eventually you get used to it and you're able to make a setup regardless of the car you're in. Yeah,
certainly. No, we've done a great job with that new car. Did you think you'd be able to drive away like you did in the first stint?
In practice, I was very confident with my race pace. I dialed the setup in to be nice on tyres and all of that, but I knew Denchi and Nicholson were going to be very quick regardless. So I think it came as a little bit of a surprise, but ultimately I think I had the pace looking at qualifying.
Yeah, you certainly had the pace. And how did you feel when the safety car came out and ruined all your hard work?
Well, I knew I had a buffer, so it didn't really matter if I put too much fuel in or all that stuff. So, and I knew I had the pace, so I could just get the jump on them and then pull away.
Yeah, you didn't take too much out of the tyres in that first half of the race.
No, I kept it under wraps. Yeah, fuel saving a little bit, so I had plenty of tyre to go once that safety car went in.
You were flying if you were fuel saving. No, that was really good. Did you end up? Were you impacted by that car in the middle of the track? Did you come across it? He had a huge incident.
I didn't expect it to come through turn 2 and see a car in the middle of the road, so I was very cautious. I didn't want to get taken out and lose the lead that I had. But yeah, I'd rather play it safe than have an incident.
Yeah, no, certainly. Well, unfortunately, by missing an event, we believe you're away out doing some Formula Ford racing. You've unfortunately lost the lead of the championship.
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's real life stuff. Comes before sim. But I'm going to try and make the most of the rest of the year and hopefully claw back the points and maybe come away with the championship. But I think Denchi's got it pretty wrapped up, even though it's only halfway through the season.
Now, mate, look, it was very exciting to see you tonight. You did a great job, so congratulations. Who would you like to thank?
First of all, I'd like to thank Doe Esports, VRS, Recaro Seats, JBL, Taylor Grid, Arima Sportswear, and finally SX Group.
Yeah, terrific. Well, that's tonight's race winner, Damon Woods. Congratulations, mate.
Thank you very
Scott,
much.
I believe you're over there with P2 with Matty Dench.
Yeah, Matty, look, interesting to start here tonight. Obviously, new generation Porsche, only a couple days worth of testing under the hood. It's always fun when you get released with the latest in technology, the latest evolution in what's available, not only within GT3 cars, but obviously within anything that's actually available. How was the testing? Was there a lot of time thrown in last minute just to get this thing right as you wanted, or were you pretty comfortable from the get-go?
Look, mate, I got home on Wednesday afternoon. I jumped in the Porsche, did about 15 laps, clicked a couple of buttons on the setup, and we sent it in tonight. Definitely wasn't on pace to run with Damon, but yeah, there's great potential for this car for sure.
Look, obviously the words that Damon's just mentioned as well, mate. It takes a lot with these cars. You've got to be good on the tools. You've got to be able to sit down and go, I need a camber adjustment. I need a caster adjustment. I need a toe suspension. I want a little bit more rake. How long has it taken to develop the skills to get to that level with the tools with, normally from a race car perspective, you're so limited in terms of track time, so limited in terms of time on the tools. With a simulator, you're unlimited. You've got the ability to go out there and be driving Wednesday afternoon, Thursday across the night. You just stay up all night if you feel like it.
Yeah, I think over the last probably 2 years, I've been tweaking with the setups and that. Always make my own, and it sort of helps a lot. Like you can slap together a half decent setup pretty quickly, just after driving a couple laps and feeling what the car's doing. So yeah, there's still a bit of work to do, but we'll see if we can get there.
Mate, the return of your teammate back here tonight, it's unique. Obviously, Simon's got quite a lengthy sort of schedule, not really able to attend every certain round, but is it always good to have another guy right there going, okay, how am I feeling about this car? What are you getting out of this? Is this valid? Is the feedback that I'm getting out of the car valid? Have my changes sort of gone in the right direction?
Yeah, it's really good with Simon back in the car because he gives a lot of feedback. We jump in and run laps and discuss what the car's doing, and we sort of tweak the setup around for both of us, and it seems to work all right.
Mate, in terms of things, you've basically got one hand on that trophy at the moment. It's been a little bit of drama for the other guys around you. With the run now downhill, we're heading to Montreal in 2 weeks' time. Tough on curbs. Porsche's not normally really well known for their abilities to ride the curbs. How confident are you guys feeling?
There was a curb on like in the midsection. The Porsche's
we know.
absolutely smashing, and it was really, really nice over the curbs. And even when the car like settled back on the road, it was nice and planted, and it was really good.
Mate, now the floor is all yours to go ahead and thank the sponsors. I know you guys haven't had a whole amount to do. Maybe this is the realm where you just sort of extend the hands out, say, hey, look, PGZ is always looking for a little bit of support, and where can people get in contact with you?
You'd have to contact the boss Pablo about sponsorship and things like that. I work a lot, so I don't really keep up too much with the Discord channel. So I don't think we've got any sponsors, but just thank everyone in PGZ for being able to run alongside them and learn a heap.
Thanks very much for joining us. And once again, Pete, I believe you've got Simon Nicholson on standby, brother.
And we're just watching a slow-mo of Matty over that sausage curb as he's passed Lachlan Caper, which was a good move. Simon, welcome back. We haven't seen you for the last couple of rounds. Solid effort tonight with your teammate. Well done on third position.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, it's been a few months and it's good to get back in the car, I guess. And
Have you been doing any other sim racing?
No, I've been completely off the PC altogether.
Yep. And nice supporting drive from Matty. You started in P4, so good qualifying. Pretty solid drive, mate. No dramas. You straight back into the car. And were you being a tail gunner for your teammate? Is that how it looked tonight?
Yeah, I was quite surprised actually with the quali. I didn't think I was going to be that close. I thought I was going to come into the race with the training wheels back on, with a limited kind of laps before tonight. But no, it's okay. I guess it's like just getting back on a bike and riding again, isn't it?
Yep. And the new car? How do you like the new car?
It was really good. It surely does have potential by the look of it from Damon there. We like Denchi said, we didn't really do anything we set up for this race, so definitely need to do some tweaks and see how it goes.
Oh, Matty said you helped him tweak the car.
Yeah, I helped him change the ABS, that was it.
Nice work. And did the incident with Riley Bilson, he had a mechanical failure which punted him into the wall, 6th gear, and then there was a car sitting in the middle of the track on the apex which brought out the safety car. Were you impacted by that?
It was a shock. I slowed off a little bit, but it was okay. I couldn't really see if he was on the racing line or not, so I kind of guessed and just sent it over the curb.
Nice. Well, there's just enough room to be able to do that. You had a bit of a battle with Matthew and Lachlan Capel. How was that?
Yeah, at the start there, Lachlan, it was a good fight. I noticed in practice and that his race pace dropped off a fair bit, so I had to kind of make a quick pass, so I didn't lose Denchi then. And yeah, it was a really good late break I got on him, so I was happy about that.
Yeah, that was a nice move. Were there tyres in the pit stop? Did you take tyres?
We took tyres. I think it was the wrong move, because after the pit stop, the older tyres, when they're colder, are a lot faster. So we lost that edge for the first, say, 4 or 5 laps after the pit stop from Damon.
Yep, and we saw that with mixed drivers who did not take. Here we're just watching the restart now, and it was a great restart from Damon. Jump.
Yeah, those there's something with the tyres at the moment where when they're cold after a safety car or whatever, and they're worn in, they're really fast.
Yep, yeah, and we could see that. We could see the first couple of laps, just the guys on the old tyres sort of came out. Mate, well, look, great to see you back. Great drive tonight. Team PGZ, anyone you'd like to thank for their efforts for tonight?
Just the whole team and Mr. Pablo himself. He always does a great job trying to bring us all together and do what he can do.
Yeah, nice, mate. Well, congratulations on third place, and we hope to see you for the last few races for the Speedcafe eSeries. So great job tonight, mate. Well done.
Cheers, thank you.
Well, Scott, that was it. As it did look, the cars that took tyres did take a little bit of time to get back up to speed once the safety car pulled out. Damon Woods, who didn't take tyres, certainly pulled away, but that was a great race.
Yeah, cracking race, and like I said, look, Dylan O'Shea, that is going to be the driver of the season. Somebody's going to go out there and beat that now, and that's going to be a really, really tough ask from. Look, I think the big thing that the lesson to take away from here tonight was that terrible place for Formula One racing, great place for GT3 racing. You can get a little bit side by side, you can rub corners, you can rub panels, and it all goes quite so well. But 2 weeks' time, we're going to be heading off to the street circuit, and well, depends how you classify some of the other races that we've gone so far this season. Sandown, nearly on the verge of being a street circuit, not quite. Montreal, the first full-blown street circuit that we're going to be seeing. So it's from one Formula track here, Pete, to another. And that Porsche, she's going to take some stopping, I think, at Montreal.
Yeah, I agree. So everyone from tonight's race has now locked in their cars for the rest of the season. Circuit Jules Villeneuve's another historic wide, fast track, couple of really slow corners, couple of really tight chicanes. So it's going to be very interesting. So I guess just quickly, we were talking about Dylan O'Shea all night because he did a cracking drive. Plus 30 positions for Dylan O'Shea. So that's very good. Next, Jamie McKnight was plus 11, put him into 17th position. Andrew Dissot was plus 10, and Daniel Velikot was plus 6. So some drivers made some plenty of positions there, but good racing. You know, we had a couple of little incidents. I know I keep harping on about it, but Riley Bilson, mechanical failure, that was huge.
Yeah, cannot. That was such a big moment in terms of things. It was such a big hit. Even with all the drama that went on, and people sit down and say, "Hey, look, I mean, it's only simulator racing." The way that these wheels work, they do actually still have a lot of torque, a lot of power, actually directly.
Oh, and here it is again. Yeah, just watching the replay. Oh, and he's trying to. You can see he's gone. Hey, I've got nothing. I'm trying to slow down. What do I do? Oh.
It's one of those things as well, Pete. This is one of those things that doesn't quite cross over into the simulated racing world. Drivers test their brakes going up Mountain Straight on the run to Griffins. So as they crest the hill, there's a little bit of tap. I've got pressure there. Multiple different drivers will tell you right around the world they will test their brakes. In sim racing, you just don't do that. Why? Why do you do it in real life racing? Well, it's the risk of an injury. If you haven't got brakes,
death.
You want to know very, very early on so you can plan, prepare, and keep yourself out of harm's way. In simulator racing, not so much the case from a side impact, a front impact. The real impact, it's on those wrists. So big shout out to Riley Bilson. Hope he's okay. Hope there is no damage. Hope he let go of the steering wheel is the other big thing I have for him.
And as you said, running these direct drive steering wheels nowadays, you hit something like that in a sim and you'll hurt yourself. If not, you easily break something.
We've got brake lights again there, so unless that's the automated sim lights that keep the car in place. So again, big shout out to Riley. Hope he's doing okay. Ladies and gentlemen, Speedcafe eSeries round number 6 is in the books. We have got 4 rounds left to go. Will you be with us in 2 weeks' time? Qualifying starts next week for the circuit de Gilles Villeneuve. The sponsors, these are all the partners that make it possible for Speedcafe and the Speedcafe eSeries. Truck Assist, Morris Finance, Pertec, RJ Batteries, Mobile One, Michelin Tyre Plus, Super Cheap Auto, King Chrome, KTM, Maguire's Auto Care, Optus, and Lloyd's Classic Car Auctions. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another broadcast on the Speedcafe channel. We hope that we'll see you guys again in 2 weeks' time. Bye for now, not forever. We'll see you then.